Hello, hello. Okay, Bob Strachan here, and Tuesday is going to be tips and tricks on the guitar. A few people have asked me to teach them guitar and things like that. And I'm not really a guitar teacher, but I can certainly teach you some trips and falls. Yes, we're not talking about health and safety. We're talking about trips. No, tips and tricks. I don't know why it's so hard to say. I don't know, but anyway, cool. I'm just going to leave that in because it's funny. Anyway, I'm going to talk about a capo today, or a capo, as some folks call it. And it's not really designed to strengthen your fingers. And oh, it's sometimes fun to play with there. But a capo is a great thing for beginners and for even advanced guitars. What's really cool about it is if you only know, for example, if you're only learning 3 chords, so you've got your G, your C, and your D, and that's the only ones you can play in, and someone asks you to play in the key of A, well then you can just whack it on at 2 here and try and get it as straight. But basically what it's doing is it's pushing down the strings onto the 2nd fret. So now when I play a G, it's now an A. If you understand music, we're going up a whole tone here. So I can play the same chords that I know, and we're going up like that. And same thing, we can go all the way up. And it's also really good if we're recording and want to do different voicings. So if we want to do things, and just all you have to do is remember your notes. So you're going from G there, and then you're going up to you can go up G, A. Obviously, if we try and play it there, it's not going to work. So again, put the capo onto the 2nd fret, and now we've got an A, right? And then we want to go up to B, okay? There we go, see? So then we can go B, obviously go B flat and B, and then come up here. And so now we've got a C, there we go. So I can play in G and actually playing a C chord. See? But you hear the difference in the voicing. We've got that, and then we'll work it on there. So actually playing a different bit of notes. So if we're actually recording, it's sometimes kind of cool. And the Corries, if you've heard of the Corries, they were the Scottish, or are, well, one of them is still alive. And they used to do that a lot. They used to have the 2 guitars, and one would play in the open chords, another one would play with capoed up, playing different chords, but different chord shapes, but still playing the same chord. So it's really good for that. If you're a beginner and you only know 3 chords, then cool, you can pretty much play in any key. F is a bit silly because it's all the way up here, but anyway, so it's really good to learn an F. But if you don't know an F, you want to play an F, just learn your E, and there you go from that. So it's good. And so these things there. But I'm going to show you a couple of more tricks you can do with a capo, which I oftentimes do, is turn it upside down and put it on here, but you'll notice I'm only putting it on 5 of the strings. I'm leaving this E string open. Now what does that do? That gives me what we call a drop E. Now if I just put this on, and if I put that on like that and play the D, you'll notice that doesn't sound right. Alright, so I'm actually playing an E here, even though it's a D shape, but that note doesn't go in the chord. So if I take it off, that gives me an E here, so it gives me a nice low E. And you say, well, what about just playing drop D? Well, we could play drop D, but then when we play drop D and I play a G, it's not going to be the same. It's not going to be the same note. So that's a trick that I learned. And you say, well, what if I want to play in another key? Well, if we come up here, this is where we get another capo. And then we put our capo on where we want it to. There are two frets down, so you get a fret in the middle. And that way you can play drop in a higher key. And we have that bass, that nice bass note there. So that's a couple of tricks that you can learn with a capo. It's really good if you're going to play some classical, for example. etc., etc. But that gives you that nice note. It wasn't played very well, but anyway, it gives you the idea. But see, you get that nice bass note that you don't get if you're just playing a D, because that doesn't do right. So you have to tune this string, the E string here, down to D to be able to do that. But again, if you do that, that's good for some songs. It's great. Play around with drop D. I really enjoy playing drop D. I actually use that as the start of one of my songs. A song called Jessie that I wrote in 1999, in fact, on an old K guitar that I still have, but it's up in the attic. You know, ask, why is it up in the attic? Well, because it's being fixed. It was somebody had left it against a wall for many, many years and bowed the neck, and it doesn't have an adjustable truss rod. So I'm laying it up there with books on it to try and bend it back over several years. Hopefully it'll work, but it's a really nice guitar. So there you go. So again, so we've got there. So there's our D, drop G now. But see, if I play a G, see, it doesn't work like that. So if you're going to play a G in drop D, it's really nice, and it gives you a different kind of voicing. So if you are songwriting things like that, or even just playing other people's songs, you can use these tricks and tips to do that. Back to where we are. So to recap, you can use your capo and you can change key. It's always good, but also gives you different options for voicings. So like I said, if you are playing something in G and you've got a second guitar or you're recording, whack the capo onto 5 and play in G. And you get a higher voicing. And again, obviously you can do that with, just figure out your fretboard, and you can do that in any key you want to. And like I said, you could, if you want to do a drop tuning here, which I really like, you can put the capos, we can get 2 capos on and just leave that first note done. And you're playing, you've got a drop D, but in whatever key you want to play. There we go. The other thing you could do is you can also do the same thing, but have the drop D or drop E here on the thing, on the higher E, and it's quite nice. Obviously you can play the full chord, but if you don't, get all kinds of different sounds out of your guitar. So you're not just stuck with playing basic chords. You can play the same chords, but using a capo gives you a lot of different options for that drop tuning. And you know, you can obviously use 2 capos and you can do drop all the way up the guitar. So hope that's enjoyable, and leave me a comment, and check out my YouTube channel, which is Bob Strachan Music. And thanks for watching. And if you're a guitar player or you're just learning guitar, hit me up for some tips and tricks and anything you like to learn. If I know it, I'll be glad to teach it to you. So thanks for watching. Have a great day, folks. Cheers.